What is up, everyone? Welcome back to episode 2 of May the Zoo Be With You, our Flesh and Blood podcast. For those of you who are confused, this is a Flesh and Blood podcast. We had some comments asking and saying that is confusing, and that's pretty much our goal here, is to be as fun as possible. I'm joined by Mitch. I'm Louie from KitchenTableTCG. I'm joined by Mitch from Midtown Merchant and George from Compete Sports. What's going on, guys?
Not much, man. I want you to know it took everything in my being not to say you're frozen in the middle of your intro, and I'm very proud of myself.
Well, if we can stop future interruptions, I'll be proud of you, George.
Yes, I am. My setup is janky this week. I apologize for my audio. I'm impressed that George actually spent some money and got a nice microphone. He bought something other than a Heart of Fayendale, and
I bought one of those for this week.
One is cheaper than the other. Can you guess which one costs less money?
Not anymore.
So we had a good week last week. Thank you everyone who left us comments and sent us messages. All of us had tons of messages of people saying they really enjoyed the authenticity of our conversations and stuff like that. So we're going to hopefully be able to continue that and have a weekly podcast for everyone.
For better or worse.
Definitely for worse.
Just remember, guys, may your memes be dreams.
Yeah. You too can have nobody listen to you as you yell into an expensive mic. You too can do this if you really desire it. You know, don't let this hold you back.
I almost spit my coffee out. I almost spit my coffee out on that one.
George, what are our topics today, man?
So as always, we're going to end with the MetaZoo Minute, which is a surprise to these two knuckleheads, because I want them to research everything about the zoo so they're ready no matter the topic.
I reached out to Mike yesterday about this exact thing. I told him I need to get up to speed as quickly as possible.
Bingo. It's working. So I think the first thing that I'm seeing that I want to talk about today is I think people are very confused, mainly because of Louie's terrible tracker, of how to price their collection and how they're going to sell their collection. I will just start this with a story, if that's okay with you guys, as to what made me say, oh my God, we have to chat about this.
Yeah, tell us what our second topic, though, is, too.
So I had somebody reach out saying I need 120,000 euros for my collection. I said, okay, like, not a problem. Like, send it on over and let's see what we got. Right. And I expected to see some heat. 120,000 euros, that's like 140,000 freedom dollars. That's real money. So, like, you better have some heat. And, like, listen, it didn't have heat. It had, like, 5 Welcome to Wraith legendaries that were not named Tunic. It had, like, 5 from Arcane that were not named Cap. I mean, like, they were fine, but, like,
it had cold foil legendaries, but it didn't have the fire. Did it have any fables?
It had 10 of them.
Any fables?
No fables. And he was like, listen, according to Louie's tracker that he makes up every week, it is a $180,000 collection. I'm asking you for, whatever percentage it was.
But it also had a lot of other things. It also had
had a ton, sexy voice, of Welcome to Wraith non-foil commons. And according non-foil commons. And according to your beautiful spreadsheet, they're worth like a quarter each. And I am seeing too much in the market right now because people are trying to sell. Let's be honest here. People, like, I think there's probably more sellers than buyers right now. Especially because, like, I was talking to Mitch about this before and it hit me. The 5 whales I'm closest to, 4 are on vacation this week. So, like, there's the market that's going to buy $100,000 collection is pretty low right now this week.
Yeah.
Sell to me cheaply. So, there's some sellers and I told him, I was like, dude, like, I can't buy this. I cannot buy this collection. Like, I have no way to move Welcome to Wraith Alpha Commons. Bulk.
I don't have a way of doing that.
Yeah,
I've had 5 people ask me in the last year for bulk, and they were willing to pay, for like, hey, I have $100. How much can they get me? I'm like, well, so. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, this is where we're talking about a collection tracker is not a sales sheet. And I try to say this every time in the videos where, like, the non-foil all the commons and rare pricing is TCG low, so those aren't even sold listings of the cards. And I always try to say also, like, if you put these on there, it would take you 6 months to sell all your cards. They would eventually, a lot of them would sell at the 40, 50 cents each for a common, because a lot of people, when they're buying cards, they'll be like, oh my gosh, for $3 more I can have the first edition card and pick up and walk away, and so they'll do that. But like, it's going to take you months to sell all those cards, a year or 2 years to sell all those cards. And that's where I think when we talk about collection buying, like when I go to buy a collection, which I haven't done in Flesh and Blood, but what I used to do in Magic the Gathering is say, hey, I will buy. I'm just not there. That's not my game anymore. I don't sell a TCG player.
I just like the judgment in George's eyes. Like, what is wrong with you? What are you doing with your life right now?
Bought a house. That money could have gone to Fab.
But what I did instead is say, hey, I'll buy any card over $3 at 70% value, or whatever I would do, 65% value. And then everything else, I would say, you can give it to me if you're looking to get rid of your collection. I'll give you an extra $50 for it all. But I don't really want it because it's not going to move. It's going to take me too long to sell. I don't like selling cards under $3 on TCG Player anyway, because you actually end up losing money at some point because of fees and shipping and all that stuff. And so, like, that's what I would do if I were in that case. I would just say, hey, I'll buy all the stuff at $3 or above at this rate, and then I'll give you a bulk price for the bottom rate. But a lot of people don't like that. That would turn a lot of people off from selling too. But that's people's got to change their attitudes on what things are worth, because they're just not. Like,
Rudy does an excellent video. It's like a 30-50 minute video. It's within that range. It's 30 minutes to an hour. So Alpha Investments, he did a video of this, and he says, okay, you have these collections. They're all valued the same amount, but here's the contents within, and here are expectations based on those contents. So he's like, I have one guy has $100,000 collection or $50,000 collection. And to George's point, it's all commons. Like, if you were to, or it's a majority commons that are driving that collection value. And 1x of those is fine when you have 1,000 of the same card. It just doesn't carry that value. So he's like, I'll offer you, 25% for all of those. Right.
Yeah.
But for these, I'll pay, 60%, 58%, 70% of market value, somewhere in that 65, 70% range. And so, like, George, did you go back to that guy and say, hey, I'll take the legendaries and the majestics, but I'm not going to take the commons? And he didn't take it?
Oh, no, of course not. He thinks his collection's worth 120,000 euros.
Wow.
And this gets.
I don't want to call him a Timmy, but like that is like his definition of like, extra expectations on the market based on where things are at.
So, I mean, like, I think, and this is something I wanted to bring up, is like, you need to know who you're selling to. Mitch would have a far easier time selling that collection than I would.
No.
I'm not sure he would take it.
No, I wouldn't.
Mitch is like, stop. Don't tell people.
Tell all your comments to Mitch. He'll pay you a fair value. You ordered from
No, I won't.
Tell him George sent you.
George, I'll just tell you this. I worked at a very good, I had a good working relationship with a guy who had a massive collection, right? Loads of commons from Alpha that were foil. Foil are a different story. Right. No one's buying them now, so it doesn't matter. But back in the day before Monarch came out, people were buying, rainbow foil commons and rares.
Yeah, that is true. And that is true for sure.
And it took me 3 months to move 500 or 600 rainbow foil commons and rares from Alpha and Arc in crew. And I still haven't moved them all. And sure. I made the money back that I needed to pay for that portion of the lot. But it was a substantial amount of money. And the bulk majority of the money is still in Majestics. And they're still sitting on my store at below market pricing. So if Majestics are not moving from Alpha, non-foil Majestics, why would a common?
So maybe like the right answer is, what I don't know how to say it without being an elitist jerk, but like maybe you need to find a store that is willing to do that kind of grunt work for very little money. And they're out there. There are people who, especially now, like, people are willing to like hustle their bustle for like that 13-cent card. But like, selling it to me, I'm not going to here's this doesn't sound way worse than I expected to. And I apologize to everybody. I mainly deal with very high end cards. I don't deal, I sell to two people. I sell boxes to normies, my people who are like me, who grew up having hot dogs and a piece of white bread, unlike Louis, who had the fancy buns. And then I also sell singles.
I had mine in beans, so I mean, I didn't even have the bread.
You'll be the 1%er. Then I also sell mainly graded singles to Fat Cats. Shout out to my Fat Cat, sponsor us. You know, I don't have a market for bulk. And let me tell you what I do with my bulk. I put it in my store for free for everybody. I have Monarch foil rares in my store right now for free for anybody to come in and build their deck.
That's cool.
It's not. Here's the problem. I have no way to move it. I'm not going to throw it out.
Right. You'll take it, but you're not going to pay for it.
I'm not going to pay for it. I don't even want, frankly, I don't want you to ship it to me. Ship it to somebody who
there's so much money.
Ship it to Homer. He'll go decks for people.
You're right. You're right. So to that point, Homer's like, Mitch, you're losing money on the comment slot on case breaks. And I said, I'm not losing money. I'm breaking even. I'm giving it to you for free, and you're paying for shipping.
Yeah.
And Homer was right. I actually lost, I think, like $1. It doesn't matter. To the point, there's no advantage. I have 6,000. You guys can see the box back here. That's 6,000 Monarch First Edition commons, all packed and ready to go.
Yeah.
Less than $200. Yeah. That's 0.00. It's less than a penny per card to get all of those.
Yeah.
And I think there's a way.
Nobody's buying them.
I think there's a way for people to lower their expectations before they go to sell of what their collection is worth. And so what I do with my collection tracker, because I use my own collection tracker, is I put in one of each foil common in my collection tracker as hey, I collected it. I have one of each of these. I do think if you were selling a complete set, if somebody, if you were like, hey, I'm going to sell you, I'm going to sell a master set of Monarch First Edition. Somebody would be willing to pay probably 60 to 70% for a full master set and pay for at 60, 70% the common or the common rainbow foils, whatever, because you're getting a set. It's a full thing. But I have 5 or 6 of each. I don't put that in my collection tracker because I know that A, I'm not going to sell anything, so I don't actually really care. But B, I know that it's not worth the value in that bulk area unless I found 5 different buyers for a full collection. And there's ability to do that. I think on eBay too. I sold a set of one of each rare non-foil from Crew for $140 a year ago.
You should do all the sorting though to do that. It's not just random bulk that you're selling.
Yeah.
And after all the time, I pay somebody's time to go through. It took them 3 days to box up all that bulk.
Yeah.
For Monarch. I mean, it's 100 Monarch boxes. We don't have to get into it, but it's a lot of bulk. And now I'm I don't have anything to do with it. I'm borderline let's just give it away. I'm sure I'll have 1,000 people hey Mitch, can I buy it? Can you ship me your bulk now?
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna give it to somebody, just give it to Homer.
Well, yeah, the dude is if you guys don't know, the guy is cranking out 60 decks simultaneously. He's bah, 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 bah.
Yeah, he's giving them away to LGSs. I think he's selling them to some LGSs, but he's giving away to local. He's giving away to the local people. That's awesome. He's investing so much labor into it. He can't be making. I think what we're getting at though, making money. Well, he's breaking even, right? Yeah, he's paying for his costs. His time and them buying 80,000 bulk. I think what we're getting at though, are what are the expectations somebody should have when selling their collection? So let's just say George and I, right? We're actually completely polar opposites with buying collections. George is buying 5-figure collections. I'm buying 6 figures sometimes. And I'm over here buying I can maybe cover 5 figures, right? So I'm on the lower end. I am a minnow in comparison. But I'm hey, can I buy a cold foil Valiant Dynamo for $20? Can I buy a cold foil Prism, please? Because I really want one. I haven't bought any collections. I haven't done that for Flesh and Blood. But my expectations are completely different than George's, right? So George, what are your hopes when somebody brings you a collection? What are your thoughts? Let's not you look at the cards. I'm going to send you one later today that a guy forwarded to me. Yeah, there are some high value cards in there. I'm not sure if it's valued correctly.
But
so that is the number one. So I almost, me and this one guy have been going back and forth about a very nice collection for a couple of weeks now. We're just trying to figure out, like, for
recording.
I think we're going to get there. But it's one that, like, we've been working through, and I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to get to a deal. And, like,
hold on one second though. So that's the other thing. The expectation that it will take time moving a large collection as well.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. You're moving 20 to 50, you're moving a down payment for a house. It's going to take time for somebody to accept that, understand all the things that are in there, and be comfortable buying that.
The collection's about $180,000.
Okay.
And
so you're buying a house. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think, that takes time on both of our sides, right? Because, listen, I'm going to have to wire you money.
Right.
And, I got to make sure I know you. This is not, if it's gone out of my account and it's wired, brother, it's gone.
This is
a great middleman service.
So I got to know you. Here's where I think, let me just go over why I think this deal will close, frankly. He knows the market and he knows what it's like right now to move a high-end collection. It's harder. It's flat out harder, and I think, this is where a lot of people mess up. Is they're like, I want to value a shard at what was valued at the height, and now it's graded. So now a 9.5 quad, I want it to be a $25,000 card. Well, wait, I think I can sell that for $25,000? I can't sell that for $20,000. I might be able to sell that for 10, maybe 12 if I'm lucky. But even that seems unlikely right now, to be honest.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing,
here's what I have to do. This is just my pure hard math. I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to buy it, and if I want to sell it, which is very rare, frankly. I usually help source things for people. I don't buy things to sell. If Louis had called me and said, I want to buy an eye that actually grades well, I would have found him an eye that actually grades well before he sleeved it. I'm much better at that than I am buying an eye and hoping I find a buyer. I don't do that very often. So what I have to do, what I do is I buy the collection. It has to be a collection I'm willing to hold, because it might not sell, especially now, for weeks or months. So if I'm going to basically give you $100-something thousand, I need to make sure that I have enough confidence in that collection that it will be worth way more than that when this whole nonsense is over at the end of summer.
Right.
And I have, and that's my bet. So what you're really doing, and this is what I don't think people realize about your collection, is I'm buying your risk. Yeah. I'm buying 100%.
100%.
If the market continues to go down, I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose in this collection. I'm now buying it at this price. Yeah. If the market goes up, I'm getting the reward.
Right.
You don't view it as I'm buying your heart or your eye or your, nobody's buying Shianas because Crucible's terrible. But if somebody ever decides to buy Crucible again, maybe Shiana's worth something.
That's not true. The Shiana sold for $4,200 this week, and there's a shard that hasn't sold for $37,500. So
bingo.
I mean,
I'm buying your risk. I'm telling you that I think Shiana's going up, and you're selling it because you think Shiana's going down. It's that simple.
Yeah,
it's that simple. Now, I think, and I shared a very nice text message with you guys that I got from a person I bought a collection from a couple weeks ago. Saying it changed his life. He bought a house for his daughter. It changed his life, and that makes me feel good. The other thing I want to go over is don't lead with that.
Mitch, you've muted yourself, honey.
I've gotten so many messages from people saying, "Hey, George, can you buy this collection at this price?" I'm like, "Wait, where are you getting these numbers from?" And they're like, "Well, that's what I need to buy my car."
Yeah,
George doesn't need to buy you a car. Yeah. George drives a Hyundai.
And you've told me that they start out by saying, "Hey, this will change my life," as if that's something we've definitely talked about in our community of cards, these sales, allowing you to buy a house, allowing people to buy their first house, which is an awesome thing. But like
Right.
leading with that and being like, hey man, this would change my life if you would buy for me, has to like make a buyer be like, wait, I don't owe this to you. Like I don't owe you buying a house.
I've never talked to you before in your life. And now
Yeah.
you're like, George, this will change my life. I have no idea what your life is like, brother. I've never talked to you.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and this is always the test, right? Are you texting me on my cell phone? If so, like, I probably know you well enough that, like, your life actually matters to me. But, like,
well, I'm sure their life matters to you.
Your life matters to me, like, in a, like, I love all of you, except for a few of you kind of way. You know who you are on Discord.
For a few choice apples.
But, like, you know, I don't feel an obligation to, like, bail you out.
Right.
And this is what you're saying. People saying, "Oh, I bought the heart at the." Somebody came up to me 2 days ago, said I bought the heart. I bought a 9.5 heart for 93.
Oh.
And he's like, can you give me 85? No, I can't.
I can give you 60.
Why are people buying $83,000 cards with the intention to sell 2 or 3 months down the road?
I will say this guy is going through a divorce, and so I think it was a court thing.
That's different. Yeah, that's different.
But like, if I'll tell you how I sell collections to people, and maybe it'll help you figure out how to buy how you should sell them to me. I price out every card based on Louis' spreadsheet, even though they're lies.
They are not lies, everyone. I just wanted they are so
quick timeout. Kitchen TCG timeout. Louis, real quick, go through your weekly process when you do you just did a Monarch video. So what does that process look at?
My collection tracker is basically a last sold listing collection tracker. I look up every single card on eBay, TCG Player, Facebook, and Discord, and I take a snapshot that week of hey, cards sold. There's 3 of these cards sold this week, so the average of those 3 is X amount of dollars. Or this one was super low that sold, so it doesn't really make sense. It sold in 3 seconds. The person listed it, and 15 people messaged saying that was a steal. I don't take that price because
it's an outlier.
It's an outlier.
So,
exactly.
So you go through and you spend how many hours on each set usually each month or each week?
Each week, it takes me about 5. I've gotten better at it. It takes me about 5 to 6 hours, kind of a day, to kind of go through each thing,
and then do a video.
And then do the video and update the tracker.
All right, I just want to give you credit for the amount of hard work you put in that collection tracker that George is then using to price his collection.
No credit given.
Or price a collection. Well,
sure. That's
true. But you just relying on all the hard work that Louis has done. It's what we all do. It's fine.
Sure.
But to your point, you go through. Sorry, Louis, you had a point. I'm sorry.
My point is that it's like last sold listings. It's not necessary, and there's a difference.
Actually selling at versus what you think they should sell at in your head.
And there's a difference when the last sold listing of a tunic is $15,000 that was 3 months ago.
Right.
And now Brave Forge Bracers has lost 30% of its value. I probably won't update the tunic until it sells at $10,000 or whatever. And so I think that's a really big distinction. If you're using my tracker, it's like you have to look at look at the video and see. That's why I color things differently. When something has sold, it's colored in green, and when it transfers over, it just moves over in the same color, because you can look to see how many of these have sold at this kind of average price.
I didn't know
I think that's really important. That's why the $15 tier people, they have access to that collection tracker, and they can actually see the historic data all the way back to December on the price points of the cards. And so I think it's important to look at things not just in the snapshot of in the last week, this was the sold listings, but in the snapshot the last month. And that's where we're seeing really huge changes in this current climate, is that in the last month, things have really adjusted.
Yeah. I mean, Louis' spreadsheet is, I'll put it this way. I have never interacted with somebody with high net worth and fab who, when I use Louis' spreadsheet, they don't take those prices as valid. They take them as they're not, nothing's gospel, but Listen, that's as good of a
source.
starting point as you're going to find in Flesh and Blood, especially because, like, listen, like, how do I say this nicely? I don't think this community has been immune to eBay shenanigans.
Oh, not at all.
I know that Louis has done a good job of trying to figure out, wait a minute, is this like, like
is somebody pumping this?
Yeah, somebody like, there's a lot of really weird bids on this. I'm not going to include that. And listen, like, that's helpful. Like, I'll put it, the guy who was selling the cold foil IRA for $20,000. I had no idea if that's good or not. I literally have no clue. And like, somebody asked me, like, what do you think about it? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I mean, like, I'm seeing a sale on eBay for $20,000, but I have 20 people yelling in my Facebook that that's fake. And like, it was all bid up and it sold for $2,000, $3,000. And I know of one that sold from one of the best sellers out of the land up north, Evan. Whenever it's not showing up there, he sells Flesh and Blood, so he never sells.
Right.
And I know he sold his, I think, for $3,000. And like, listen, that feels right to me.
And that thing was pristine.
Yeah,
that was a pristine IRA.
And listen, and that felt right to me. I think that's a $3,000 card. I think, frankly, like, I'd probably still buy one today for around that price.
Yeah,
like, that seems like a good price. But like $20,000, that doesn't pass my smell test.
No.
Well,
so I mean, like, whenever I sell a collection, I start off with Louis' tracker.
Yep.
Even though it's fake news, and then I tell them, like, I have, I'm selling, 2 hearts, an eye, maybe a Shiana, and I have these other 5 legendaries, whatever they are, not Tunic, not Cap, not Mask. And I'm like, I'm going to sell you all of it. I'm going to throw in the legendaries for free. That's how I have to sell it to a whale.
So you price them at market pricing, and you're actually, in theory, still doing percentage of market price, but you sell them at full price with these caveats of, hey, here's a few extra.
And so, like,
we're over here throwing in like foil majestics. You're like, oh, I'll just throw in a few cold foil legendaries. It's no big deal.
Well, I mean, like,
but that's what you're dealing with. That's the brand you're dealing with.
I hear it. It's a completely different paradigm for me. And so it's just fascinating hearing you talk about it.
Now, I will say, like, I do think some of this is getting harder, even though the prices are going down. I mean, somebody came to me yesterday and said, like, can you get me 10 hearts? I know the market's down. I don't think I can. 10? Like, I don't.
Like, maybe 3.
Like, I can. I know of 2. I bought one. Yes, I bought one. I'm almost. Me and this one guy are closing today, I think, on a heart. It's not a good heart. It's not going to be a 9/5 heart. Not going to be a 9 heart, frankly. I mean, like.
You want me to sleeve it for you? I can make it.
You can make it a 2.5 and be a pop 1.
The only 2.5 in existence.
That's right.
HP.
But like, I still can't find 10 hearts. Like, I own 7, and like, listen, I'm not selling mine.
You crazy?
I'm not selling mine. Like, I wouldn't sell mine at the height. I sure as hell I'm not selling now.
Yeah. Right.
So like, I think part of it is you need to be realistic. Coming to me and saying, will you pay me 85% of Louis' tracker? Like, no, I'm a big, y'all can see me on camera. I'm a big boy. I like to eat. Mm-hmm. I got to find my food money somewhere, and it's coming out of your heart.
Savage.
So I think the other side of this too is that, and George, you and I talked about this the other day in the car, that whales, you and the other whales in the community, are being bombarded with collections and not singles, and that is like a world that's different. And it's like,
yes,
you might be able to afford to take 1 or 2 collections that have some legendaries that you don't really need, right? Like, if you get a heart and an eye and a couple legendaries, like, you're okay with 1 or 2 collections like that, maybe a month. But when you're being bombarded with 4, 5, 6 collections, and there's a lot of people coming to you, it's like you can take one of them, but you can't take all of them.
Yeah.
And that's like a completely different world too that we haven't really been in the past couple of months.
No, and it frankly, it makes less sense now than it did at the height. Like, selling me a collection at the height when everybody's buying everything, that makes a lot more sense for me. Buying a collection today means I'm going to be able to sell the Fables, the Legendaries, probably the Foil Majestics. Everything else they're going to bury me with.
Yeah.
And like, you got to give me that stuff for basically free.
That makes sense.
I can't do 80% of Louis' tracker on some of this stuff. I can't. Like I'll literally lose money by the time I pay to insure a package for $100,000 each way.
Yep.
Like there's incredible transaction costs. And this is before we get into the problem of like customs and duties if you buy from Australia or Canada, like I usually do.
Yeah.
The other thing is like selling me your graded cards doesn't make a lot of sense, frankly, because you've already increased the value to where that's going to be my profit.
Yeah.
I like buying good raw cards.
100%. That makes sense, right? There's no advantage to you buying unless you're holding for years.
Right.
Right. Yeah. But I think, and you've said this before, George, this game's either going to last 5 years or none, right? Like it either has a future or it doesn't. And it's kind of contingent on where we head in the near future, or how LSS continues to handle these challenges.
Don't fail us, James White. We need you.
That's right. That's right. We believe in you.
Sponsor us.
I think though that kind of what we're getting at, that's your kind of perspective. Mine is polar opposite, right? I run a small cart. Well, I say small. This is it. This is out of my office. This is the card shop. It's just me. I have a full-time job.
Looks like a mess.
It's a hot mess because it's just me, and I have a full-time job.
This is me in my raw state.
And me at lunchtime is fulfilling orders as fastly as I can. And I try to do all my orders within 48 hours. So it's a hot mess. That being said, you coming to me with the collection, my immediate thought is I have to pay my taxes. I have to cover all my expenses, and I have to, pay myself a little. I don't pay myself a lot, but I have to pay myself a little, at least make my time worth it. Love you guys, but there has to be like a little bit on the other side so I can actually play the game too with the money that I make off of it.
Yeah, it's almost like you're running a business and not a charity.
Well, at this point, and I think that's kind of the point with George is, yes, there is cash flow here, but this cash flow is not to give you a house. This cash flow is to support my business. Like you're investing, George, in this game. You're investing in the long haul for it, especially if you're buying graded cards. That being said, I'm going, how quickly can I return a profit? And I don't need to make crazy margins, but at a bare minimum, after paying my income taxes, if I have to pay sales tax on stuff, pay, my expenses to buy boxes, I still have to, or pay for this lot, I still have to come out with maybe 10% of wiggle room. And then George or Louis, how we have the coupon code for you. So like that's another 10% off the top. So like there's all these little, and yes, I want to continue to support your patrons, but it's just things that I have to consider when buying a lot. So that's immediately 30 to 40% that I have to make off of that lot. So at a bare minimum, the most I can pay you most times is 60%. And I've had people just say, no, thanks. Like that's way too low. And I said, look, I'm sorry. Like I just have to be able to, like 55% is the standard for a lot of card shops to buy things, or they can give you store credit, and buy it for 70, 75%. But like, that's kind of the standard when it comes to buying bulk. And that's including common and rare foils.
And there's a reason that's the standard because everyone has those expenses. Yeah.
Right. You have overhead. And yes, my overhead's lower. So like sometimes I'll budge. What was I buying? Like cold foil legendaries a few months back before Monarch hit. And you're like, you're crazy. Because I was paying like 68, 70% of market value for them. And I was betting that was me taking the risk, thinking that they were going to go up. Right. I believed in it so much, and they actually did.
And then they didn't. But
no, they stalled. Like I don't think they've gone back down to what I paid for. I think the bottom line though is if I had to liquidate, and I think this is what I'm hearing from George. If I had to liquidate my collection today or my investment today, would I at least break even, or what would be my loss? And that's kind of what I'm thinking. If worse comes to worse, and I have to sell everything, where am I going to be sitting tomorrow? And like that's something that I just consider. And the market's so volatile. There's a reason I haven't quit my job and gone full time into Flesh and Blood, is because I can't get enough boxes. The market is highly volatile. Cards worth $6,000 one day and $2,000 the next. What am I supposed to do if I'm supporting, bringing bread?
It's true where you are, Louis. That's good.
Yeah, Louis has multiple sources.
Louis. Let the record reflect. Continue, Mick.
Now, I'm going to say this. Louis is a very intelligent person. He doesn't have just a single store. He also runs now a game store, I guess. So he has a game store. He's bringing other product from other games. And He has content creation, Patreon. What, you sell case
I don't
breaks,
know if you
box
guys know
breaks.
this, but I'm going to make a whopping $2.57 off of this video that you're watching right now. These advertisements have netted me a whopping $2.
What he's not mentioning, though, is he's already created, how many videos have you created this year?
Oh, my God.
I think I'm hitting like
hundreds.
I think I'm hitting like 500 or 600 already.
All right, so guys, let's do the math. 500-600 videos.
No, it can't be that much.
Times
2 a day.
Times 150. I'm just saying that's his monthly revenue.
You almost made $1,000 this year.
Nobody watches most of those videos. You guys are wrong. That's not the way.
Is that not how it works?
No.
They only watch the videos about deck tags, about the deck playing. I know this. They're like, how do I play the cards the best? The market updates, 2 views at most. How do I play the game? 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 views. Rudy is actually jealous of your views on only when you talk about how to play the game.
Yeah, Rudy. There's a reason Rudy does lots of gameplay videos because lots of people watch gameplay.
Yeah. When I want the cutting edge content of gameplay, Rudy's my guy.
I'd say when I want to watch cutting edge gameplay of the game, it's not Louis.
No, if you want to watch somebody be really bad at the game,
Rob
that's entertainment, right?
Shout out to Rob.
Hey, speaking of gameplay, I played that calling deck yesterday and did absolutely horrible.
Do not call it. Hey, do not call the calling. The comment section will let you have it if you call the event that was at the calling champion. My God.
Okay.
3 people in my comment section.
What was the gentleman's name that you interviewed?
Matt Rogers.
No, Winton, Bedford.
Winton. I listened to the entire podcast. Loved hearing his out. That man is talented.
Yeah.
I am garbage with Katsu. That man can play some flesh and blood.
It's Katsu. The comment
I said
section
Katsu.
You said Katsu. It's Katsu. The comment section will also let you have it. I'm just
James White.
Look, man. I'm just learning from my comment section.
Well, I don't have a comment section because no one watches my flesh and blood videos. Ironically, the guy that I was playing with at the Team Covenant event yesterday, I know we're going on a tangent. He was like, hey, Mitch, I watched your stream with Louis. That's really cool that you guys did that. I'm like, oh, the guy knows. He's like, yeah, I subscribed to your channel. I'm like, oh, you're a rare few. Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate the support.
Nothing feels worse than I was doing the podcast and like, oh, is that Louis' podcast? I'm like, excuse me.
He totally pulled a doomsday on me, by the way. He almost killed me. He pulled a doomsday, and he's playing Levia. Did I pronounce that correct? Or is it Levia?
I don't know that one.
All right. Long story short, I just want to give a shout out to the gentleman Winton, who that guy is talented, and I'm just echoing. I'm garbage at the game too, Louis, but I had a blast.
I don't care what anybody says. He won the event at the calling. So
I'm aware it was a side event.
He is a calling champion in my book, and that it's my channel. So
he has a gold foil skull cap. I mean, he is the champion. He didn't get. Yeah. I mean, there are other cards that you could have gotten in gold foil. He got the one that he deserved. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's clearly the champion.
Okay, so let me follow up on let's end our conversation on collections. And this is to say that your collection is not worthless. Your collection is just, if you want to sell your collection, the best way to do it is not to sell it to George. George, I'm sorry. I know you want people selling you stuff, but your best way to sell your collection is to do it yourself on eBay, TCG Player, Facebook, if you want to do a lot more work, or Discord. That's the best way to sell your collection. If you want money now, if you want to sell the whole thing now, you have to take a discount. You have to sell it you have to lose out on money if you want somebody to buy your full collection. That's the way that it works. And honestly, like, this is something I've ran into. If you're gonna sell it on TCG Player or eBay, you're gonna pay 10 to 12% fees off the top anyway. Easy. And then on anything that's over $40-$50, you're going to pay shipping. You're going to pay free shipping for people. So there's another like 8% on a $50 card. And so, like, at the end of the day, having somebody buy your collection at 70% value is, especially if
still really a high,
especially if you clue in your time. I mean, like, how much is your time worth too? Like, to just be able to sell the thing to one person. So I think if you are looking to sell your collection and get the full value, you need to do the work, and you need to take the energy and to sell it yourself, and to list the cards, and to take the photos, and to deal with all the people who are going to return things. But if you want money now, I think you should be looking at getting around 60%, 60 to 70% of your kind of high value cards. And then the rest of them, you got to kind of just put in a box and sell, put them up for auction or something, and take the money that's given.
I'm seeing a big shift in demand. I mean, like, I think I've had no problem selling foil alpha E-strikes this past couple weeks. No problem. Somebody called me and said, can you source me 2 of them? And I found them 2 foil alpha E-strikes. I mean, they were at the same price they were at before the dip.
Yeah. 1,500?
Huh?
Were they 15 or $2,000?
What are you? Are you okay? What card are you
okay, Nick?
Guys, I've never seen an alpha E-strike that's foil in my life.
$5,000.
No.
Oh, Louis wrong too. That's beautiful. The guy paid $6,500 each.
I was pretty dang close. That was pretty.
I mean, you're a lot closer than my 1,500.
Yeah, 5,500 last public sale that I knew of. So I mean, 65 would be
that exceptionally high. So I knew people were asking that much. I didn't see people paying for it.
They are rarer than the heart.
Yeah, for sure.
I know that, and they're actually more playable than the heart. I'm aware, and it's a beautiful card.
People, if you're playing with a $65,000 card in your deck, you're doing this wrong.
So, like, and here's what I think.
You know what I'm saying, Louis? People play in E-strike.
It's
like the heart.
Yes.
The market has shifted to, I'm going to say it, good playable cards. It's become a player's market.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that's seeping over to the high-end singles.
Yes.
Is like, I'm frankly, like, I have, I'm trying to think of a good example. Cap, mask, tunic. Those are still selling regularly pretty good prices. Not what they were, but they're good. They're good prices. It's the collector cards that I think right now are way down. And listen, like, I'm betting that's going to change again.
Yeah,
I think it will. Like, I'm betting on it, and like, that's fine. I'm not I'm not in any rush. The hearts are just fine in my safe and my base, guarded by guys with big guns. If you break onto the military base, you deserve them. The market has shifted, so knowing that should also help you a lot. I'm gonna have no problem selling your alpha E-strikes. None. I can sell those tomorrow. Heart, it's going to take me a minute, and I'm going to take a bath. And so if I'm taking a bath, you're taking one with me.
Yeah. Interesting.
And I will also say this. I would not, again, I will say what we said last time. If you listen to us for advice, you're doing something wrong. We're not financial advisors. We're 3 morons with a podcast named after one game while we talk about another. With a fancy mic. But I'm not selling now. That's how I'll phrase it. I would not sell now. This is
it's the worst time.
No. This is the worst time in the game's history to sell.
Well, sure.
Maybe early days of alpha when nothing had any value was harder, but it's hard to say because nothing sold. So if you can afford to take the risk of waiting, pray that James White doesn't betray you like he did Louis, and it comes back quickly.
Somebody left a comment in the comment section and said, "What's the deal with why does James White hate Louis?" People don't get the jokes. Everyone
asked. So I wrote this in chat yesterday, and somebody said, "Oh my God, does James White and Louis have beef?" And it took every fiber of my being to tell them the real story and not make up some elaborate backstory that actually involves James White actually hating you. I want you to know that.
I have zero animosity towards James White.
I didn't say you hate James White.
I
didn't say you hate James White.
I would not have quit my job if I didn't believe in James White.
So the joke stemmed from our very amazing stream. I think Mix is frozen. Came from a very amazing stream that the Louis opened roughly 20 billion cases, and
we both did.
Yeah, and didn't get a single library.
Yeah, but
then we found out Canada got 4 in one box, and we realized where they all went.
Go ahead.
Mitch and you had both gotten one in your first box.
Our very first box we open, I never open boxes. James White knew that I had his back and he loved me. And he was going to give me a library box 1. And Mitch, he looked at Mitch and goes, Mitch, I love you too. Box
and
1.
Mitch had that frozen smile on his face.
It's so good. I will get you one.
Why
too.
does it keep freezing? Anytime I click out, it starts freezing.
Here's the thing. I still haven't pulled a library. And so now I'm in this place. And I was talking to you about this the other day, George, where it's like, why would I buy a library right now? Because like the price of a library and the price of a Monarch case are so offset. And every other Fable is a price of a case is $1,300 right now. The library's at 26.
Really?
Yeah. And right now you can buy a Arknight Shard for $4,000 and you can buy a case for $4,000. Right now you can buy a case of Arcane Rising.
What's the hard at?
Right now you can buy a case of Arcane Rising for like 13,000 probably. You can buy an eye for like 13, 14, 15,000. Around those.
Maybe.
The prices are much more close. Yeah. Even like the heart, a alpha case would be about $40,000, and now the heart's not selling for $40,000. But
so I think
tell me a library should be
very clear here. I cannot sell you. I cannot sell a case today for $40,000. I think this is somebody with like
30 probably 32 would probably be what you get, right?
I'd be if somebody called and said, "Can I buy a case for 32?" I'll find you one. I don't think that's happening. I think that you're going to be probably high 20s right now for a case. It'd be my gut.
That's crazy. So now's the time to buy an alpha case.
I
really want an alpha box, but I can't.
Let's go over this.
In the game.
That's something good that you brought up, Mitch. The problem you're going to run into is I know of 3 major people with major alpha case collections. They're not selling.
Nope, they do not care. They do not care.
They're like, oh no, my $1 million collection went down 20%. Let me pat my eyes with my other $1 million cards. They couldn't care less. And they're not in a hurry. They're not desperate. Yeah. I think I could probably find you a case at 30, but I don't think it would sell at 30.
Yeah, I agree.
I think a heart right now is probably worth high 20s, low 30s for good condition. I think it's about what a case is worth. And this tells me one of two things. This tells me that the library is probably undervalued or the box is undervalued.
The library is overvalued or the box is
That's my gut. That's my gut.
I
think Louis was unfortunately right. Louis jinxed the entire market, which is why James White hates him.
Well,
and I think boxes are going to be trending towards about 300 before they stop. But then I think it's over. But let me be very clear here. Let me be very clear to my Wall Street people. Do not worry. I am still Montu 1K gang. And I think that when they hit 300, it's going to be the bleeding's over.
Yeah.
And they start to trend up.
There'll be a large population of whales who pick up at 300. I agree with that. I actually believe. I didn't believe it at 400.
We said the same thing with 400.
No, you people said, you guys said that. You two said that.
Don't you people me.
I hate that.
What do you mean?
I do not. I said I do not buy that people are going to buy at 400. I do not buy that people are going to buy at 350. I do buy that people buy at 300. I think that's the.
Well, I also think listen, if they slide way past 300, I think we do have a real problem. I'll be perfectly blunt. I think if they slide past 300, we have a real problem because then all of a sudden you're competing with unlimited. Then I'm do I want to buy a
unlimited case? Is $70.
Well, that's only because LSS won't enforce MAP despite distributors.
Hey, wait. I saw Alan said today in the group thing that they were looking into it, that they were looking into enforcing it, and that all MAP
in the retailer group.
In the retailer group.
So I will. So that was mainly a joke at LSS's expense. Sorry, James White. I still love you. I will say this. I have heard many. I shared one of the rumblings with you guys. I don't want to share on podcast.
Understood.
But I have heard many rumblings that LSS is going to bring out this sledgehammer to these knuckleheads who aren't enforcing MAP. I think LSS is serious about this. Maybe we'll make this our next topic. Screw the other card. We'll do it next.
Have you seen like their restrictions that they've had on like other policies, like selling promos? I mean, they're very serious. Like,
I know of a store that lost all of LSS because they should have, because they sold an armor kit. Let me tell you, good for LSS. Good for LSS. 100%. This is what they do best. If you're going to give me something to increase the player count, you damn well better give that out to players.
Yeah.
If you're gonna tell me, George, I'm investing in your store to grow our game, I have an obligation. I think probably an actual legal obligation, and certainly a moral one.
Yeah. Sure.
To also use that in good faith to increase our player base. And this is something that I love a lot of my stores. Even though this won't sound like it right now. Stores are getting what they deserve right now.
100%.
What do you mean by that?
I'm getting more than 1,000 boxes of Monarch Unlimited, getting like I think 1,300, 1,400 boxes of Monarch Unlimited. I have not lost a wink of sleep of if I will be able to sell them.
Sure.
Not one bit. I have a player base in store. I have people who I have people who will buy from me online. I sponsor player groups. I help other stores out. I am not losing any sleep because I like to think I have treated the community with the respect they deserve.
Yep.
These people who just looked at Flesh and Blood said, "Oh, geez, I can make free money too.
Free tendies, right?
1,000 boxes," and now they're stuck. Yeah. Now they're stuck. They didn't,
and now their boxes are going to get fulfilled too.
Yeah, I mean, like they didn't invest in the community, they didn't invest in the store, they didn't do things the right way, and now they're going to pay the price.
So this is we need to have a talk. Can you slot in a discussion for why Flesh and Blood is not growing in my store? Can we have that discussion?
Is what?
Or how to? We need to have another podcast episode. So just put a little asterisk here of how to grow Flesh and Blood or how not to grow Flesh and Blood.
We should actually ask Joey Senart to come on the show and do an interview with him.
Oh, that'd be great.
So I want to back
Joey,
up.
the goat at growing the game.
No,
let's back up to map pricing though, because I think there's the viewers and the listeners are going to say, no, low boxes are good for me. I'm a player. The lower boxes as possible are good for me. So when I see a store selling boxes for $60, I should be all for it and be excited about it.
I've said this as a player advocate.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see boxes that low for players.
I'll tell you why? Go ahead, Louis.
Well,
you beat him down first, and I'll finish him off.
It is terrible. It is terrible for players because the boxes that you open are not worthless. The cards within them should have value. I mean, if you want to be, this is the age-old argument between Rudy from Alpha Investments and Brian from Chillinger Community College. Like, if you want your cards to be worthless, then fine. Have people be okay with making no money off of selling the boxes and selling the boxes at $60
or lose money
and take a loss. But if you want to open a box and actually have any amount of value in your box, then you do not want boxes to be at $60 because the way that the market works is people only try to make their money back. That's the way that TCGs work. They say, "Oh, I spent $60." I saw this the other day. Somebody on Facebook was selling a library. They were like, "Is this thing really worth $500? I only spent $75 on the box. I'm just looking to recoup my money." And it's like, you don't understand the rarity. A lot of people don't understand the rarity of their card, and they're just trying to make the money back.
Right.
And so that is why I fully believe this. That is why the EV for Monarch is lower than WTR and ARC right now. It's like $108 or something like that.
It's insane. It's insanely low.
Oh, for Unlimited.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. It's like, my God, what's happening?
Well, Monarch First is not selling either, though. Monarch First is not selling either, really. Yeah. So this is actually, we're seeing, and George and I, we were speaking briefly about this morning, releasing Monarch First with Unlimited so closely together has actually tanked single prices.
Let me be clear here. I was wrong about this. I would have advocated for this, and I was dead wrong. This had a very negative impact on the market that I did not expect.
I would agree. I actually was thinking the inverse. Like, what if they came out with the limited and then collector after?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Because then you're actually getting a solid baseline of what the market should be, and then you have the value. And actually, I think first edition would have more excitement around it because you have all these new cards you've never seen before. You already get that, but I feel like it would even be amplified knowing the full set of Unlimited You open first edition, you're like, oh, there's all these sweet Easter eggs that didn't even exist in Unlimited. I think it would add oddly more value.
You're putting cards that don't exist in
first edition already has cards that don't exist in Unlimited.
Different art.
Different art. Okay.
Well, extended arts.
Gotcha.
I mean, alt arts, gold foils.
That's
same book now. We're good.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, have Unlimited set the market for singles prices, and then there's just a natural increase or bump up for first edition.
Here's what I would like to see with Kingdoms. I think they should.
It probably won't change by Kingdom, but go ahead.
I think they should produce a ton of boxes of first edition. And I mean, like, if I order 10,000, get me 8,000, if not 10,000.
Like players can play with enough boxes.
Yeah. Make it so that, like, frankly, like, stores can't do what they did last time and sell them for outrageous prices.
$600, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Channel Fireball, still sponsor us, but that was maybe not the best. I still love you, Sasso. Thanks for my boxes.
Yeah.
No. And so I would say, like, do 100. I would think a first edition box can be $150. That seems like a great deal for everybody. I'm making money. You're making money. Everybody's making money. Maybe not LSS. And then, leave that be. Don't do Unlimited for 3 months, 4 months. They're $150 boxes. How much cheaper do y'all want it to be? And then
they did this. Do the original business model.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. That's it. That's exactly what the original plan was.
But 150 boxes are a lot for players, George.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, what's that? I mean, that means a case is
buy singles.
Bucks. Yeah, I mean, buy single. Like, listen, and I mean this with all the love in the world. If you look at a card game, I mean, like, and say $150 for the box is like too much for me.
I mean, like, Pokemon, Pokemon's 150 a box.
Look,
Pokemon's 150 a booster box, but how many packs come in? 36?
I have no idea how many packs come in a booster box of 36. Pokemon. I think it's 36.
So here's the thing the amount of people.
Three of the cards have value. Continue.
This might be wrong. But I think it's right. The amount of boxes that an average Flesh and Blood player opens is way higher than the amount of boxes that the average Magic the Gathering player opens, and way higher than way higher. Nobody plays Pokemon, but you know what I mean, like the Pokemon. So like, I think, like, the fact is, like, maybe we don't all need to open 6 boxes. Maybe we all don't need to open 5 cases and hunt for the library. Maybe the boxes can be $150 and not $350 or $500 or $600 if you're CFP, and like you just buy 4 or 5 boxes this time around, and then when Unlimited comes around, you have access to more boxes in 6 months, 3 months.
Here's what I think.
But how are you supposed to play the new set if you're waiting 3 months for enough cards?
Mitch, you own a single store. Tell people to buy singles. What are you doing? Like, you buy the
singles. I get
it. The show.
I 100%. Yeah, dude, but like, do you know what singles were? Okay, so let's go the same pathway we went, but let's lower it. Let's just cut everything in half. Let's just imagine first edition pricing is what it is today, right? Okay. So imagine the market opening on what prices are today. And for the record, what the prices are today is what I expected the market to open before boxes went up to 600. So if you were to ask me back in February, Mitch, what are you pricing? I think boxes were at 300 then, February, March. What are you expecting prices to be at open? They are what they are today. That's what I expected them to be.
This is exactly what I was saying. If boxes are $150, singles your EV will start entering to the $150, $160 range.
So Mitch, like, what do you have a Footsteps at today?
500-ish.
Okay, so like, I don't think $200 something for a Footsteps would be outrageous for a player.
Why would anybody put $200 for a Footsteps? This is the issue. We've already seen, what's a Shiana at today? What is a Shard at today? Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, it's probably worth 30. I think the issue right now is for first edition product, there's clearly a demand in the future and people are not willing to let it go. Footsteps opened up at $1,600.
Yeah, but you're not hearing what George is saying. The Footsteps entered at $600 because everyone bought all the boxes and there was not enough boxes to go around because stores were keeping them keeping them back and holding them to raise the prices. What George is saying,
true.
What George is saying is put all a ton of boxes, triple, quadruple, 10x the number of first edition boxes, so that stores don't feel. So if a store orders 1,000 boxes, they've got 1,000 boxes now, and they have to sell them because they can't sit them all.
Here's my issue, though. People with first edition product, and specifically cold foils, they are selling at where they're in their head are going, the market's going to be at this in a year based on existing cold foil prices. Why am I going to sell it at 200 when I know in a year it could probably be 1,000?
I think that's changed. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Do you think that mindset's shifted at this point?
It has.
I think
listen, this is the first time there's an actual risk to flesh and blood.
I would agree.
This is the first time we're looking at it and going, is this game going to be around in 5 years? I still think the answer is firmly. Hold on 1 second, Sexy Louie. I can see. I think the answer to that is firmly yes. Let me be very clear. My bet has not changed. But listen, I'll put it this way: I'm a scared flyer. I hate flying. The first bump of turbulence, I'm always all, well, it's been a great life. I'll see you soon, Lord. This is the first bump on the airplane ride. No, I've been very lucky. My planes have never crashed yet. But this is the first time we're hitting a bump in the air and people going, I'll see you soon, Lord. I think that's an overreaction, just like my wife thinks it's an overreaction whenever I fly and I get ready to go home at takeoff. Home. And this...
Just send it.
I think that this is the first bump in the turbulent ride. And let me be very clear here. Everything is turbulent right now.
Yeah.
Pokemon's more turbulent than we are. Magic's Revised has been very turbulent, frankly. Everybody's turbulent except for Louis.
Why are
Louis
you
thinks
pulling
this
your
is smooth
George
sailing.
and shaking your head?
What's
Why are you
Louis'
shaking your
nonsense
head?
now?
This is what it feels like, George. Listen,
Feels
everything is turbulent. You know what's not turbulent?
Flesh and blood.
The players. There's not a single ounce of turbulence if you are a player. If you don't care about the financial side of Flesh and Blood, if you are a player, not an investor, not a collector, there's not a single ounce of turbulence right now in Flesh and Blood. And oh man, well, you don't know the players. You know what I'm talking about?
I should own an LGS. That's a good point. I should try to find an LGS that can support Flesh and Blood.
Okay, so are your players at your LGS concerned right now of the game?
No. But here's what I think.
That's exactly what we're saying, George.
What if you guys would give me if y'all would listen to some wisdom here, it'd help you all a little bit.
All right, share this, old man.
That's tough. I'll be honest. If I pulled my back yesterday a little bit, and it's like it gets easier every day to pull the back. I'm like, what is happening? At least I still look good.
That's true. It's the shirt that really does it for me.
Bingo. Sponsor us.
Shirt
Walmart
company.
Hawaiian Shirt Company.
Shirt company nobody knows about.
It's
Is that
Walmart.
Tommy Bahama?
It's $12.
Oh, dang, dude.
Yeah, that's how we live.
I would love for Walmart to sponsor us. I think.
Move on.
I
Keep going.
think that the players, I think that there's a floor for what players will tolerate at this point. I don't think you can open up a box and not ever get back your EV.
For sure.
But you paid for your box. I think that is a problem. And I think what they're seeing right now is just everybody's trading, nobody's selling or buying.
That's 100% true. I can't tell you how many people like, hey, Mitch, would you be willing to sell me this? And I'll pay you some cash on top. Right?
Right. And I think
which is not great for a single store. Gotta be honest.
So let me walk this back a little bit. We've had more players. Our player base is growing. I'm hearing this from a lot of stores that their player base is growing. What I think LSS is going to have to, in stores, are going to have to figure out is what do we owe players? And what I mean by that is, if you were at my store at release, if you had been to my store a bunch of times, you got a Monarch First Edition box when they were $600 at $100. Mm-hmm. That's what I did for my players. You got 2 cases, $100 a box. Because, listen, a lot of these players were with me since Alpha. They were buying boxes at $80 when they were worth $0.
Right.
That sounds crazy now, and I know that, but it's true.
So you're treating your customers like your distribution should?
Yeah, I mean, the EV of the first boxes of Welcome to Earth, they got were $0. You couldn't sell anything.
You didn't get my joke. It's fine.
I laugh.
I got it.
I know. I appreciate it.
I think I think stores need to figure out how do we want to handle. Do we view first edition as almost an entirely different product than Unlimited, or do we view it as a collector box of Unlimited?
Yes.
And I think like this is something that the community is trying to interact with is a first edition box equivalent to the collector booster box of
From MTG.
Magic the Gathering.
Now,
And, go ahead.
So Magic the Gathering right now, they just kind of print to demand, right? Like they basically in their policy they say for collector boxes they just keep printing them.
No, that is no longer the case.
Okay, so what comes out for this first release of MH2, Modern Horizons 2? They will never print any more collector boxes of MH2.
They do not have a stated policy, but that has been true the last 3 sets.
Okay,
But
they do print.
Starting with Commander Legends, there was not a reprint.
But base and draft, they keep
just
printing.
more magically showing up at Amazon.
Right, but
That's not how you get a sponsorship. Continue.
But for the base set, they just
Magic
print
the
that
Gathering
indefinitely, right?
sponsors.
Oh God, that'd be hilarious.
May the Zoo be with you, a Flesh and Blood podcast.
Sponsored by Magic. Sponsored by Wizards of the Coast. Oh, I just want it for the memes. Can we create a separate LLC that sounds like Wizards of the Coast but is not?
Yes,
Sponsored by
yes.
Wizards of the
We got-
Toast.
oh my
or
God, we got
something?
one with just WotC as the initials, but then not say it's. It's like
It's a
sponsored by
different
WotC.
WotC. It's like Wizards of the Cards or something.
We'll get sued by everybody at once. It'll be great.
How to get sued by MetaZoo, Flesh and Blood, and
How to
Magic
get
the Gathering.
yeah,
And Disney.
that's exactly it. How to get sued by the top 3 TCGs out there.
Oh, that would be
yeah, you
such
heard
good
it.
content.
Top 3.
That'd be such good
Garfield
content.
hates us.
All right. What if they inverted it though? This is my last thought. What if they came out with them, or what if they release them at the same time, but first edition is supremely under demand, like they just print it to nothing, and it's just printed for the players. They just kills the collector, yeah.
Oh, gross.
So there's a balance to it, is what
why
I'm
do you
saying,
hate me?
right?
What have I done to you?
So would you argue right now that they printed them too closely together, released them too closely together,
Yes.
and there were too many boxes of each? That is the current problem that exists today, right?
I think a lot of these problems, and I think this is where we need to take maybe a breather. I think a lot of the Monarch problems stem from distribution, to be honest with you.
What do you mean by that?
There were people getting severely cut literally the day they were supposed to ship, mainly out west. So the way it worked for some of these stores, thankfully I was not one of them. They ordered 400 boxes. They were told they got 40. Then they were shipped 12. That's literally the numbers from somebody I know.
Yeah.
Ordered 400, allocated 40, got 12. This was the day they were supposed to ship. He was told, you're down to 12.
Right.
You're now getting 3 cases, not 10. This created a lot, I think, of instability in the market.
In fear.
Because, listen, that dude doesn't carry Flesh and Blood anymore.
Well, he also got charged more for those boxes.
Yeah, of course. His cost went up 18% while he got cut 75%.
That's not how it should work.
And while another store got a full allocation that wasn't cut from a different distribution, didn't raise the price at 18%, and now they're selling below MAP, and so the person who got 8 boxes can't even sell his boxes because his in-store people are probably like, well, that's $7 more than this guy's charging, and so I'm going to buy it from this online guy to save $7.
And this,
right.
Maybe I should actually do something about
Well,
this.
and $7 per box is substantial.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
And I'm saying, and it's coming from, yeah. I got to stop talking about distribution pricing.
Yeah, you do, actually. Here's
we all are in that world together, right? We all have stores, so it's just easy to talk with you guys about it. But I forget there's a filter since we're actually talking to the world about this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So what I think that now I keep hearing rumors. This is just rumors that LSS is adding another distributor soon.
Oh well.
And I think I'm hearing it because they realized that Monarch maybe was a little bit messy with one distributor in particular.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
I do listen, I know of 2 stores that basically I'll carry Flesh and Blood, but it's going to be an ordered you have to come to my store and ask me for it, and I'll order it for you.
Ooh.
And it's because they're like, listen, this doesn't make sense.
Right.
I'm not getting boxes. I'm paying too much. People aren't respecting map. Why am I carrying? Why in order to carry a new card game, which Flesh and Blood is still new, I have to be willing to take a lot of risk. I'm not being compensated for my risk.
Yeah.
And this is where LSS honestly needs to address, I think, both sides. I think they need to swing the hammer at these stores that are selling below map, but they also need to have a little heart-to-heart with the distributors and say, like, listen, like, you guys can get away with this for right now because the game's still very hot. But, like, when we can finally ramp up production next year when Pokemon gets their own printing press from Carta Monday, these stores are going to get to pick which distributor they choose. Because I'm going to get full allocation, right? I'm going to get what I order. This is next year, Lord willing. Come on, James Wright, help me out. And they're not going to pick you because they're going to remember what you did at Monarch. And let me be very clear here. I remember what happened at Monarch.
Yeah, I think a lot of stores do.
And I've talked to now 3 stores that have now basically said, I can't interact with the game. I've now 4 stores, now I think about it, that say, like, I can't do Flesh and Blood the way I wanted to because of the distribution problem. And I'll be
That's why I haven't gone all in either.
The distribution problem has affected how I will handle Flesh and Blood in the future.
Yeah.
I will not order as many boxes because I only trust one distributor.
Right.
So the thing is, remember 6 months ago or 3 months ago, whatever, we were all talking about how people were selling the armory kits, and that was a huge issue, right? Like Facebook, eBay, there were stores who weren't running armory events who were selling the contents of the armory kits, and a lot of stores made a big stink about it, and it was frustrating. But today you don't see that as much because LSS did something about it, and they did the right, they handled it the right way. I think one of the things I really respect about LSS is that they are willing to say, okay, you've broken the rules. I'm not going to let you just keep breaking the rules as a result of me needing you as a store. They're going to say, okay, you broke the rules. Here's the axe. Like, there's discipline for this.
They beat you. Listen, there's a very famous record store owner, who I'm sure is actually listening to this podcast. And listen,
he doesn't listen to Flesh and Blood podcast, right?
He openly bragged about hoarding products and selling it way above price.
Right. And now James White will not contact him accordingly, because all I ever hear from him is, hey, James White, would you mind, he gets into the live FABTCG and it's like, hey, would you mind answering my emails?
Oh man, I'm going to start doing
and now
that.
he's acting like the victim. So I wouldn't do that. I don't think that's the right approach. But
they cut him off because he was doing something that wasn't supposed to be done, and that's what I really respect that about LSS. Yeah. And most new card games would not be doing that, and I really respect that they're going to be doing that.
LSS cares about the players. Mm-hmm. And I will say, as I have been a little bit more rough on them the last 45 days than I have previous. I frankly think they've earned it, but I don't think they've. How do I want to say something that's going to have to get edited or not? No. Okay. So I think there are other
What do you think
card
before
games,
you speak? I'm still working on that.
There are other card games that only care about is their product selling.
Right.
Yeah.
If I can sell a $400 booster box, even if it's feel terrible for the customer, they don't care and they view that as a win.
Right. They're limit testing. Can I sell at this? If they buy, yes. And there's enough grace there in the market for them to fail and reset and say, I'm sorry, we repriced it too high. We're going to go to this.
Yeah. LSS when you're selling cares about the players.
I mean, when your cost of creating a booster box is $20 and you're selling it with an MSRP of $350. Oh, sorry. There's no MSRP, but when that's the price that you're telling stores to sell at. It doesn't matter if it doesn't sell. Your cost is nothing. You're going to make it in. Right. You sell a quarter of your boxes, and you've gotten rid of all of your risk. LSS doesn't have that problem. LSS isn't charging more money for first edition boxes, and yeah, sure, maybe, I don't know. But the point being that that they are taking on this risk themselves rather than putting it on the stores, and that's
Correct.
what LSS does really well. So I want to go back to one thing, and that is the players. How does this affect the players? And when you sell boxes under map, that lowers the box, it lowers the EV, in turn lowering the card prices, because the EV will always kind of label up to box prices. So if you want your cards to be worthless, like if you're listening to this and you're like, you know what I want is for now and forever to have my unlimited cards be worthless and not worth anything, then continue to buy boxes at $60 under map and support the stores who are doing that.
I hate it for another reason. For me, it's just I probably talk to 10 stores a week who are debating adding Flesh and Blood to their store.
And this kills it for them.
This is this is something they're bringing up to me now. Maybe it's a little bit high. Maybe about 5 stores a week call me and say, hey, one of my customers told me to reach out to you. They said they've been buying boxes from you. We're thinking about adding the game. Can you tell me about it? And like the first question they will ask me is, what are you paying per box? The second question is, the second thing they're going to do is go to TCG and see can they make money at that price. Right. And right now the answer is murky.
No. Yeah.
Right now the answer is man, maybe if I'm lucky.
Especially for unlimited product.
So what's that dude going to do? That dude's not going to add Flesh and Blood.
There's too much risk right now.
It's crazy to me how fast the attitude has changed too. Where 2 months ago you would be thanking a store for selling boxes at $80 and not $100 or $100.
Yes.
And now players are fighting to the bottom, and that's an attitude thing. That's expected from a consumer. But
and this is where stores got to step up their game. And I mean this, to all my store owners, I love you all, most of you, but
be better.
Listen, I don't compete on price. My unlimited boxes, they went up because my cost went up. I was at $79 and now I'm at $85.
Yep.
Talk to distribution.
So and I tell them, don't yell at me. I'll give you the owner's number. I won't really know if you're a distributor listening. I won't really give them your number, but just know that you are the reason for my price increase. I tell them
just put on your website
$5 because my cost went up $5. Nobody has said, "Oh, George, I can get it for $73 online. Are you willing to price match?" No. Go play in their store.
Yeah.
I taught you the game. I paid my employee to teach you the game. Yeah. I give away promos. I do the things I'm supposed to do to give value outside of price.
You sold first edition boxes at $100. And
that's the thing. If you guys want, and this is where stores, they want it both ways. And again, I love most of you. Hold on. Yeah. Shout out to Don in Ohio. Great dude.
No
joke. Who cares a lot about the community. Somebody else who is losing no sleep tonight.
Right.
Because he treats his players with the respect they deserve, and his players reciprocate.
Yep.
Unison Games isn't having this problem.
Nope.
The stores that are feeling this are the ones that deserve it. When you rip off your in-store customers, you can't then be like, "Oh my God, why are they price comparing everywhere?" Well, you ripped them off.
Yeah.
You charged them $300, $400, $500, $600.
You were price comparing. Box. Yeah, you were price comparing on first edition, and now you're upset.
And now they're like, "Oh, well, I can get somewhere else." Well, good for the customer. Good for your customers.
Oh man, they're loving this right now.
This is gonna be a real rant. I had a store in Worth Carolina that was charging his customers $2,400 a case of Monarch First Edition.
$600 a box.
You called me and said, "George, can you take some of my Monarch Unlimited? I can't sell it." Okay, why can't you sell it? I'm getting 500 boxes today. They will sell.
Yeah.
Now I will say this: they're not going to sell overnight, though.
No.
You used to get WTR and ARC boxes before Monarch, after Crew came out, and they would sell within a week. Outside what was needed for your store, but online you would sell like that.
I still hold back boxes because I don't want to sell out instantly.
Right. Well, and you need to supply your store.
Yep.
So you can have in-store events, drafts, whatever.
But the other side of this is that you are no longer going to be selling boxes online, right, George?
Frankly, I will
There's no
probably not sell
advantage for
boxes
you.
online anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've told this.
Monarch killed it.
I told this to LSS. I would rather not sell boxes online than give in to what I think is going to create a major hurdle to the game's growth, which is distribution raising their prices astronomically with no warning.
Yeah.
Right.
I would rather not sell online, except to listen, I'll still support game groups where I can. I know I'm helping out Tracy with a few boxes. Shout out to Tracy. You're the man in Alaska, creating a great game group out there.
Yeah.
I support a game in Arizona. I support a game group in Colorado. I'll still do what I can to support the community. But I don't know if I will feel comfortable selling online for a while.
Yeah.
To the general public.
Yep.
Well, you also did not have the most pleasant online selling experience.
No, I'm not going to get into that today, but I will talk about my experience with Monarch when I've refined my Zen. But I'll put it this way. I now, and I guess I will do a little bit. I now understand why Rudy doesn't do deals anymore.
Yep.
I had customers who got 2 cases at $100 a box said, "Can I get 3?"
Yeah.
I just gave you 2 cases.
Yeah.
Why are you coming to me?
Yeah.
When you give somebody a deal, you're like,
you give a mouse a cookie. You give a mouse a cookie, and they're gonna want more.
They're like, okay,
right, Louis?
Yeah.
So why not charge market? I make more money and I get less whining. If I charge more money, how the hell does this make sense?
George could have undercut the market. Let's say boxes were 300. He sells at 250, and everybody's like, George is a saint.
Right.
It is funny though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
here's and I've told this to other people. What I'm doing with Kingdom's first edition from now on is I'm going to pick random people to charge what I want to charge at who have bought from me before.
And specifically who have bought unlimited too, right? That's,
that's
a really
oh my god,
you
bought a first edition bundle. Let me make you a statue. I think
we still haven't given people that coupon code that I've already created. And
I will probably end up doing some through Louis if he wants me to. If not, that's fine. Screw him. I will probably do some through Discord because they were super cool. I will never, ever in a million years not do a random draw again. They went so much better when I was just put your name in the hat. I'm going to draw 50 names and you're going to get the bundle.
Yeah, that's how I did mine, and it went well.
So much better. The stupid race to buy thing was a disaster.
Yeah.
And I think listen, I've picked on LSS, I've picked on distribution, I'll pick on the customers. I mean, part of this is just you guys there weren't enough boxes. I can't give you all a bundle.
Yep.
Right.
I didn't have enough.
Right.
Good stuff.
So, everybody needs to I think there needs to be a better understanding between everybody, frankly, of I think customers need to realize first edition is going to be more expensive, and that's just kind of the way the world works. I think distribution needs to get their act together and start charging more reasonable prices and giving more reasonable allocations. And
part of that's also on LSS though, is LSS needs to work on timing of delivery to distribution as well, because they're running around with their heads cut off.
Depending on when COVID. I mean,
you know what?
At this point,
I've had
enough
of this nonsense of listen, when I had Modern Horizons 2 release this week, my mind did not go to, I wonder if I'll get my boxes this week. Killing Reigns release this week. I didn't go, I wonder if I'll get my Killing Reigns this week.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
That's a top 3 issue $1 billion company. It's a little different. However,
Yu-Gi-Oh, Digimon, you name it.
Yeah,
those are still multi-million-dollar companies.
The difference is that we are all living in the world that we are believing in LSS having the ability to do that. That's the difference. So, all right, let's move on. We're an hour and a half in. Let's move on.
MetaZoo minute. MetaZoo
minute.
Wait, wasn't there a second topic you wanted to discuss prior to the minute?
No, it's dead to us. It's dead to us just as Digimon is also dead to us because I don't get a lot of it. Okay. Unless Digimon wants to sponsor the podcast, we'll listen.
All right, Bandai, you heard it here first. Sponsored by Bandai.
MetaZoo Minute, let's go.
I have no faith in Digimon. So MetaZoo Minute. All right. So we all know first edition is right around the corner. Like I can put on the binoculars.
About a month out, right?
July
about 45 days, 40?
Yeah.
40 days?
About 40 days. Mike, I need more boxes still, baby. You're killing me.
I think Louis does too.
I don't care about Louis. Just help George.
Always.
Wow.
All right, fine. Help both of us, but mainly me. So right now, Kickstarter boxes are hanging out around $2,000, $2,500, somewhere in that ballpark.
Wow. They've dropped a lot.
I mean, they went to. I mean, it's like everything else. It went up to 3, then they're down to 2,000.
I thought they were like at like 5 or 6. Originally.
No, they dropped before. They dropped before this huge collectible boom.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, what do we think the first edition boxes are going to do to Kickstarter boxes?
I would assume they go up.
This is a question on supply, and I actually think that this is closely tied. For those of you who are not listening, if you're Flesh and Blood, this is actually closely tied to Flesh and Blood too. I think they have already released the first edition box numbers, right, George? It's 22,000 if I'm remembering,
which is a huge print run.
Yeah.
Well, it's huge for them for first print run. It's not really the first print run, but it is their first big print run.
This is the question I have. Okay, how much does it matter? Because it's what 12 or 30% higher than Flesh and Blood print run for Alpha, right?
More than that, 50%.
But no, 16,000
16 to 22.
That's like 33%.
48%. Screw Louis. Continue.
I don't know whose math's right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The print run is higher. The print run is higher. Oh, we got George's fingers, everyone. Look at George's fingers here.
He's validating his math.
The 20 people who are listening to this podcast and not watching it are missing out on George's fat fingers on the camera. Well, who was right?
37.5.
I was right again. Okay. So anyway, the point being, a print run that is higher than Alpha. But the thing is, if you I think there's something to be said about this. If you look at these social media accounts, if you look at the hype. I mean, they shared a photo that it had like 4,000 comments and shares or whatever in like an hour. Like the hype around MetaZoo is so astronomically high and is in my mind like a wider reach than Flesh and Blood, especially was when Alpha had started.
Oh, sure, by far.
In terms of this hype, so like I'm like either one of two things: either 22,000 boxes is too many. And the price is going to crash from the current price of like what $250, $300 for a first edition pre-order. That's
I haven't followed the first edition prices because I can't. We have to tell it MSRP, so I haven't been following.
I thought MSRP was 200.
No, MSRP is 100.
Yeah, MSRP is 100. But
people are charging 250 for pre-orders after MetaZoo Mike said he was going to.
This is eBay though. This is eBay. So
okay, don't mess with LSS. Definitely don't mess with MetaZoo Mike.
Oh my gosh.
No way.
He will beat you with a horseshoe if he sees you selling above MSRP.
What is something from the MetaZoo world that he would hit you with?
I don't know. I'm sure there's a horseshoe in there somewhere.
The snail from Uncle Sam. He will take that slug out and start wailing at you.
My question is 22,000 going to be enough to keep the boxes around the 100? And I don't think it is.
No way.
Man, I just don't think it is because I think people are going to want more than 1 or 2 boxes. And if there's 10,000 people interacting with the Facebook account, you got to assume all of them. Or sorry, the Instagram
are there 10,000 people on the
I have more people on my wait list for first edition MetaZoo than I did for Monarch.
Am I on that wait list?
No,
you're doing a better job than me. They call me because they have my phone. They have my phone number, and they call me and they ask.
Did they put it on the website?
They call me and they ask me to pre-order, and I say I'm just selling to local customers. Check the website if there's anything left. It'll be on the website that day. I'm not doing like a whole running list, so you're better than me. Anyway, I don't think it can hold. I don't think that the prices can hold. Like I think that you're going to quickly see like a race to like the $200 from resellers kind of doubling their money. But then I think that those are going to get scooped up pretty quick, honestly. So I don't know.
So have you guys played the game yet?
No, we don't have any cards. Like the game's not released yet.
The game's not out
Yeah,
yet.
but there's the whole Discord has
the
Discord has like a whole community of people who play, and there's tournaments. And
I do
there's
not
TTS.
know how much it would cost to build a deck right now of Kickstarter cards, but I know it's more than my heart.
There's TTS though. There's people that are playing on TTS.
I don't do TTS.
You know my technology prowess. Do you think I'm on TTS?
I'm not asking you guys to play. Have you watched gameplay?
Yes.
No, I don't watch gameplay. I don't watch Flesh and Blood gameplay.
I only shoot gameplay. I don't watch it.
I don't have time
right now. Of course, I watch gameplay, as we all should have.
I don't have time for that. I want to test the game out with my wife. Here's my thing. I think that there's no way in hell my wife's playing Flesh and Blood. The name Flesh and Blood makes her not want to play Flesh and Blood, which is
Isn't she in the medical industry?
Sure, that's like an even more reason. But it just seems so.
Medical professionals love blood, guts, and gore. It's that's actually the thing. I work for a nursing organization, and our highest click-through rate and highest engagement is the grossest stuff you have seen.
That's fair. But Flesh and Blood, my wife doesn't want to play a game called Flesh and Blood. Well, but my wife loves the zoo. She loves going to the zoo.
Everybody loves the zoo.
She loves going to the zoo. And so I want to sit down and learn how to play this game with my wife.
Does she like playing tabletop games?
Yeah, it depends on the day. Last night we played Phase 10. I do not suggest anybody ever plays Phase 10.
What?
It's horrible.
That's a great game.
No, Mitch, it's not. That is a horrible game. Anyway,
it is a game just to get dunked on or dunk on somebody else because of random luck.
Right now, Kickstarter commons are $4 each.
That's insane.
Yeah,
they're alpha commons.
It's ridiculous. So I think that the whole. I think that
trying to watch George handle his mic and he doesn't know how to touch it.
Figuring out, but I do think, George, to answer your question, I don't think there's enough boxes, man. I don't think so.
So yeah, I don't either. Let me tell you, I got hard allocated for first edition MetaZoo. Hard. I got less than an.
It was worse than Flesh and Blood. It was less than.
By far. For sure. Oh, by far. Listen, the idea of allocating me on Welcome to Write the Alpha would have seemed absolutely ridiculous, and I would have been furious.
Mm-hmm.
This game has more traction out of the gate. Is the bottom line.
I guess not 20,000 boxes, but if I wanted 1,000 boxes, they could get it for me. I promise you.
How long did it take for Steve Aoki to do a video for Flesh and Blood?
Oh my God.
A year plus, 2 years, year and a half.
I'm saying nothing about this. This is how us actually hates us. I'm saying nothing. I think it's a good decision.
And then Steve Aoki does a video for MetaZoo last week.
He not only does a video for MetaZoo, he's all in on the zoo. He's
loving it.
He's doing videos for the zoo. He's doing box openings for the zoo.
I mean, but he's a Pokemon guy at heart, and I know they're separate games.
I haven't seen an Aoki video about Flesh and Blood since he got the heart.
It's weird.
This is why James White hates you. This is why James White hates you. I did not say that, James White.
I don't know what to tell you. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that.
All I'm saying is there are higher stakes individuals on earlier in this game, hyping up the game up prior to release.
Listen, I believe
I'm just now for the cards look awesome.
I think they have legs. People are sleeping on the zoo at their own cost. I mean it. The zoo is going to be hot.
I will just say this.
Go ahead, Mitch.
You all got in on a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Louis, because he's a YouTube star, got MetaZoo product to open. I don't get that luxury, so I didn't get to see how awesome it was in person. Now that I've been kind of slowly getting into it, what lured me in was Flesh and Blood gameplay. That's what got me into Flesh and Blood. I'm genuinely curious if it's a good game to play. I will tell you this right now. If I do not enjoy playing it, I will sleep during the MetaZoo minute. And this is nothing to Mike. It just might not be my game, and it's completely objective. But
look, there's a guy in my Discord server named Zach, and Zach
is this the ZAC Zach, not ZAC? Yeah,
I don't know. It's Zach Storm. You're gonna leave in the MetaZoo minute. This is your whole thing.
Oh, this is your minute.
Anyway, I'll talk to Mitch. So the Zach played Argent Saga. He was a judge for Argent Saga. He's gotten really good at Flesh and Blood. He's, working on being a judge for Flesh and Blood. He went through the process to do the MetaZoo stuff, and some stuff happened. He's no longer doing judging for MetaZoo, but he loved the game enough to take the test and to play and to really get into it. And he has a huge TCG background and experience. Also, Mitch, you're frozen again. This is the worst podcast we've ever done. Everything is not working out well.
We've only done one.
But the fact that Zach cared enough about it to hop in tells me that it's a good game. But here's the thing. I do not think that this needs to be the next Flesh and Blood. It does not need to be.
It's not the next MTG.
This does not need to be the next top tier card game. All that MetaZoo needs to do is be a fun card game that I can play with my wife, that I can pick up and play with some friends, that you can have some fun and enjoy. MetaZoo does not need to be the number one TCG of 2022. Flesh and Blood is going to be the number one TCG of 2022, and that's why it's going to be successful.
Sales-wise, it's already happening.
Sure.
Right?
This is the MetaZoo minute. Let's not get into it. I don't want to get into that article.
The math, you just wrecked my brain with math. When the Lord calls me home from an aneurysm, I want you to give my eulogy.
Godspeed on that one. Tell your wife I'm sorry.
The play base of MetaZoo is different. It's a completely different.
It really is.
The
Discord's so different. It's all about being like friendly with each other and having fun and like
the anti-Pokemon.
I mean, kinda. It kinda is though. I mean, you could say that this is nothing against MTG, but like Flesh and Blood's kind of the anti-MTG too.
Yeah, I mean, like I think that's so.
In terms of community,
I mean, like that is what I think MetaZoo has done. Like I will never sell Pokemon on a Facebook group. They are the most toxic people in the known universe.
What about Dragon Ball Z?
They could put that on they could put their attitude on a landfill and our problems would be gone because the acid they spew would tear right through anything in that landfill. If you're
that was
like
the next level description there.
Oh, it's so true. If you're like, hey, I bought this box for $90 from distribution, I can sell it to you for $95. Like, well, why are you making $5? Well, no, I'm paying for shipping. I'm losing $6. So here's the trick. And compare that to the MetaZoo community. The MetaZoo community is freaking awesome. They love the game. They're passionate about the game. They're
excited about having new people in the group.
They expect stores to do what's right, and they hold stores accountable.
Yep. And if not, then Mike can step in and take care of it.
And maybe like the snitching thing goes a little bit too far sometimes, I think. But like, listen, I'd rather have that than the opposite.
Right.
I'd rather have that than the opposite. Like, I think the MetaZoo community is awesome. And Mike, to his credit, deserves a lot of that credit. Like,
yeah, he set the expectations.
Like Mike has said very clearly from the get-go, this is what I want to build in forms of community building. And I will take some drastic steps to ensure that that's what I get. And like, listen, it's worked. It's worked. We're going to sell out of the zoo in roughly 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And like, people are thrilled with the zoo. I think frankly, like, I don't know how Pokemon could do this. They seem too big, but like, they need to do a better job of building that kind of community that Mike has built, frankly. And I think, frankly, like sometimes I think LSS could take a few lessons from it. Like, Mike will add everybody what he had for dinner. Maybe I don't need to know what he's having. I don't need to know how he's cooking his steak. But like, man, I like that kind of open communication with the company that makes the game. I really do. That helps me.
Yeah. Yeah. It gives you trust in what they're doing, and the guy is keeping to his word, right?
Mike gets a lot of credit from me. I mean it.
Yeah. I'll be completely transparent. When you guys shared what was happening with the game, I was like, it's just gonna be a blip on the radar. But the way in which they're handling things, I actually messaged Mike last night. I was like, I've talked to Louie and George a lot about MetaZoo, or at least I've heard you guys talk a lot about it. I just usually get casted out because I'm only a fabber for life. But
trying to come lately.
Yeah, I'm trying to hop on the bandwagon with you guys, and and kind of ride behind. But the way that they're handling things, the way they're engaging with the community, the way that I was welcomed into that community made me want to be there.
Ted is
and I have no idea. Yeah, no idea how the game plays, no idea what to expect, but it made me want to at least investigate it. I think it has like a cool feel to it just by looking at the artwork. And when I say cool feel, it just feels nostalgic. It just like brings me back to like the 90s. They're going for. Right. And I think they played into that super well.
Yeah.
I am genuinely curious to see how it plays. And Louis, I'm encouraged to hear that you have individuals within your group that are like, it plays well. And I think it's great to have games at scale that are fun to play and that are not serious. So.
Well, good stuff, everyone. We are at an hour and 45 minutes.
Nailed it. 1 hour podcast, right on track.
I believe
my webcam and stuff is everything's going weird. I think my computer's dying. So
it's overheating right now when underclocking your CPU.
It is.
Thanks,
MacBook. So thank you guys for being on the podcast, and thank you guys for watching. And everyone, this is the end of the podcast.
Made the Zuby with you. You gotta end it with the amazing. Come on, Louis. Come on,
Go
Louis.
ahead, George. Go ahead. We have Sloth Louis over there. Go ahead and kick it off, George.
May the Zuby with you.
And also with you.
And remember to be kind to the people around you.